Well, at least it's green. What's up, everyone? Welcome back. My name is Zach, and this is a 2010 Polaris Sportsman 90. So this is a buddy of mine. I mentioned him in a couple videos. This is his son's four-wheeler. It's been sitting for a while. This thing has been nothing but issues, chain popping off constantly, running issues, batteries, so much stuff that I've heard has been an issue with this thing. And there's a lot of other little things I've noticed that really need to be addressed. And he asked me just to get it right, get it back to where it should be so he can hop on and ride. He doesn't have to worry about nothing. So that's my goal with this video, is fixing this thing up. Let me give you a quick tour of this thing. So right off the bat, I mean, she's covered in dust. The steering stem bushing is shot. The chain guard on this thing, or not the guard, I believe it's the tensioner right here. This chain just keeps popping off. I don't know if it's an alignment issue or not. No, it looks pretty straight. But I gotta address that, check all his brakes. I need to get another baffle for this thing because it's pretty loud, and his dad was like, yeah, it probably wouldn't hurt to make it quiet again. So I'm gonna order another baffle for that. Plastics are all off and not clipped on right. It needs a battery. Carburetor probably needs to be cleaned. And I'm thinking about also bringing these plastics back to life. There's a little trick you can do, especially when, oh wow, I didn't even know that was cracked. Oh, that's new to me. I guess I'll have to try to do something with this. Well, fix these plastics, and I'm gonna try to bring some heat back on these and make them black again. But yeah, I just need to get this thing back to looking better and running right. The first thing I really want to do is give this thing a nice bath, and then I'm going to get all these plastics off and the seat and everything and pretty much strip it down to the frame, and I can see everything and address all the stuff that I need to do. So let's get this thing cleaned off and then tear the plastics off. Oh, well, that's a lot easier than doing it bit by bit. Honestly, that gives me a lot more room than I was expecting. Yeah, I can get to everything from here. Exhaust feels tight. This gasket's not leaking. Carburetor and intake looks like it was maybe replaced, or at one point, probably. I don't know who worked on this prior. I know that my buddy's son's stepdad had some work done on this thing, I'm pretty sure. He did the work, I'm not 100% sure. Looks like there's some mud in some of these holes. It only had 2 bolts holding this down. The other threads are still there. There's no broken off bolts or nothing, so maybe it's just missing bolts. But luckily I have a slew of old bolts. It's always good to have a random bolt bin. These are so packed full of all sorts of metric and standard bolts. Save little springs from lawnmower seats and bushings, spacers, all sorts of stuff. Spark plugs. It's good to have a BS bolt organizer. You never know when you're going to need a bolt, and it saves you from running to the store. Oh, well, found one thing down. I was wondering why this light was all loose. Wires look okay, I guess. Ah, I see. They disconnected the safety switch for the brake, so you can start it in whatever gear. All right. All right, these wires all color-coded. Yep. There we go. I'm undoing these bolts off camera because sometimes I got to work them back and forth because they are rusty as can be. That's why it's so easy for me to just pop these things off instead of just filming, wrenching on these things, trying to get them to come off. It's honestly crazy how beefy these front ends were on these things. I mean, it goes all the way up to here. It's integrated into the rack. I'm not the biggest Polaris fan. I never really have been. But these 90s seem to stand the test of time. It is a very simple design, and everything is really easy to get to. So, one good thing about these old Polarises. A newer one? No, I wouldn't buy. But that's just me. Man, these things are all stitched together. Come on. Man, I don't know if that's a weak spot on these things, right here, where all these zip ties are, but either it rolled at one point, or it's just a really weak spot in the plastic. Well, I lied. I thought that I was gonna just leave the front end on and do the rest, but actually it wasn't too bad getting it all apart. So cool. And I can see a lot of these wires have crimp connectors that are heat shrinkable that are not heat shrinked. So I didn't even know this thing had a horn on it. That's pretty cool. Usually four-wheelers don't come with horns. Didn't know that. I think the last thing I'll do is probably take the tank off and drain out all the old fuel and then give it another good scrubbing, get all the dirt off the frame, and then I'm gonna start ordering parts. I know I need to get a steering bushing for up here because this is bad. I gotta get the spark arrestor for the muffler. I need to get outer tie rods, I believe, because these are, yeah, outer tie rods have some play. New fuel line, probably an oil change kit, and a battery, the battery shot. Spark plug, all the good stuff. So I'm gonna get that ordered tonight, and then we'll be back when the parts come in. Hopefully, it should not take too long. Side note, his birthday is in a week, and today is Monday. His birthday's next Monday. So I'm gonna try to get this done before then. If not, I'm gonna do what I can do, but we'll see what happens. Four-wheeler's gone. Well, it's over there drying. I gave it another scrub down, but I also got some parts. Got new oil, outer tie rods, steering bushings, new fuel filter, chain tensioner, which I just greased up, and also a new used muffler. So I was looking on eBay to find the baffled spark arrestor, I guess you'd call it. Nobody had it but one company, and that one company wanted $100-something for it. And I was like, nope, not doing that. So a local ATV parts dealer, which is like 25 minutes from me, I didn't know they had an eBay account for used ATV parts. So I went on eBay and saw it. I saw the name of the company. I said, no way, that's the same one that's, 30 minutes from me, 25 minutes from me. And I messaged the guy, which I've been there before. I'm like, hey man, do you have this? He's like, yeah, that's me. He was like, I got the whole thing for $60 for an OEM Polaris 90 muffler, the whole schmeal with the silencer on it. So I'm gonna just take off this entire muffler, which I mean is still in good shape, but I'm just gonna unbolt it because getting these Allen bolts out probably is gonna be impossible. So like he told me, he was like, dude, you probably are just better off unbolting it here at the flange, putting a new gasket on it, and just bolting up the other one. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll give this to him as a spare. So I'll just swap out the mufflers, and then the next thing I need to do is get this carb off. I've tried kicking it over a couple times, and I can't get it to fire over even with starting fluid. So I'm gonna take off the fuel tank possibly, take off the carburetor, and we'll tear into that. It does have spark, I verified that. I taped off some of these connectors and stuff like that so water didn't get in them. So once this dries, we'll get this carb off, check that, and see if she needs a rebuild, which it might. All right, we'll start draining the oil in this thing. God knows when this oil was changed, and if it's ever been changed. Probably has, but sometimes you never know. Woo! This oil is very, very dark. Should have brought some napkins over here while I was here. All right, now that I got the oil draining, I'm going to start taking that carb off. One of the first things I noticed with this thing is whoever put this carb on decided to not put a lot of bolts back. There's a missing screw right here for the air filter housing, so if this isn't 100% tight, over time little particles can get sucked up between that rubber, and you'd be surprised how easy it is for things like that to get sucked up into it. If you can't already tell, this thing has a bunch of issues, and being a quad from 2010, it's gonna have issues. My friend's son, I don't think he beat on it too much, but they bought it used, so who knows how the prior owner was on this thing. It's been flipped, the front end of this thing is tweaked, but I'm not gonna mess with any of that because I want the plastics to line back up just how it was. There we go. A little tight squeeze, but we got her. See how bad it actually is. I don't know how long it was sitting before I got to it. My friend's son's had this quad for a while. It's not like it's his first time he's getting it. He's had it for 2 years or so, but when it started messing up and having issues, they let it sit, and then who knows how long it's been sitting since then. Not too bad. There's definitely some water in the bowl. That looks like Dr. Pepper. But other than that, there's not really any sludge. A little bit right there. Nothing too serious. Pull out these jets and see what that looks like. Ah, So what's going on right now is I have the pin out for the float bowl, and I cannot get the pin out that stops fuel flow. It's not supposed to do that. It's probably why I was getting no fuel to this thing trying to kickstart it. Oh yeah. I don't know how easy that is to see, but there's definitely some gum, is what I like to call it. Corrosion isn't gum, just sticky green stuff that gets stuck on these things. I always tell people, use ethanol-free gas in your four-wheelers. Don't put in 83 or whatever out of the pump. Run non-ethanol and put a little bit of fuel stabilizer in as well. Especially if it's a four-wheeler that, you know, if it's a kid's four-wheeler, they're not riding it 24/7. And if they are, props to them. Oh God, this thing wasn't even tight. And I can't even see through it. All right, can't see through this one either. See if I can blow through this fuel inlet. All right, that's clear. Let's blow into the air fuel mixture port. Yep, that's good. That's good. So usually what I do when I take a carb apart is I get the air compressor before I clean anything and just see if I can blow through these orifices and through all these jet holes and stuff. Because if you put it in a deep cleaner, then you got to blow it all out. I always make sure and check just for my sake to see if anything was blocked before I clean it. So I'll blow it out, and if there's any big chunks, that air compressor will blow it right out. So now I'm gonna throw all this stuff in the ultrasonic cleaner, clean it up, throw it back together, and she should be good as new. All right, so the oil I got is Bel-Ray synthetic. It's specifically made for Polaris ATVs, side-by-side, stuff like that. And the Sportsmans only take 1 quart of oil. All right, that's all done. All right, so before I start throwing more stuff on this thing, I want to see if it'll start. I hooked up the new fuel filter, put the carb back on, rerouted all the vacuum lines and stuff where they should be. I just plugged the dash back in real quick, so I got the key function. So I just let the float bowl fill up for a little bit. I kicked it with the key off a couple times, so now I can turn the key on, and it has a stator, so it should start without a battery. So let's see what happens. Oh! Well, it started. Sweet. So next we'll do the exhaust, get the muffler switched out, and see what a comparison is in sound, because right now this is pretty obnoxious for a kid's four-wheeler. Easy as that. The gasket actually survived on this one. I'm not even gonna bother messing with it. This one still has a little bit of residue, and this gasket still is all in one piece, so I'm just gonna throw her on. This flange, I'm having a little bit of trouble getting it to squeeze in. Let me double check it and see if it's any different than the other side. There is a little welded section in here in this pipe, or a seam that's hidden. All right, all I gotta do is grind that down and I can throw it back on. I actually found 2 newer bolts I'm gonna use, which are a little bit better shape than these, a little bit longer, but shouldn't hurt nothing. But I feel like throwing some new ones on because these threads are a little scruffed up. Okay, that one's in. Now all I gotta do is get that on. So this has a little bit of a gap in here. I can almost fit my finger through it, and those are snug. So what I think I might do is get a thick spacer or a washer. I think I have some thick spacers I'll throw in here. It should be okay because it's still straight and lined up with the hole. It's just stuck out a little bit, but I don't want to break any of this trying to get that to sit perfectly flush. I think it'll be all right sticking out a little bit. So I found a spacer. I just cut it in half and made one up real quick, and she fits perfect. And I got a bolt that fits exactly perfect too, so. Oh yeah. All right, let's try out the sound difference now. Oh, in gear. Oh yeah. So much better. Got no leaks around the flange either, so we should be all good. Sweet. All right, I'll do the steering bushing next, because it's pretty easy to get to. Yeah, there ain't nothing really left of that. Here's the new one, and grease. Grease is your best friend when it comes to bushings. Oh yeah, much better. There we go. Yep, that's a lot tighter than the last spring. This one was pretty much flat. Roller was toasted too. Me being me, and the most forgetful person I know is myself. I started to do the tie rod end, had the phone set up, I was talking and everything. I never pressed record. So I took the tires off. Actually, the two outer tie rods are good. There was only one that had play, and it was the inner one on the right side right here. So the whole front end is nice and tight now. All the other ones are good. I only have one extra one, so I'm just gonna give that to him to have as a spare. So front end's good. All the bushings are good now. I think I'm ready to start throwing plastics back on, put the racks on and everything, because all the wiring I tied up. I got all this zip tied. They had the safety switch cut off and all, so they told me not to worry about it. The dash is back on, has the proper screws in it, so now that's tight. So I'm gonna get the plastics all thrown on and get this thing looking like a four-wheeler again. Got the new battery on charge. Finally showed up today. It was only 20 bucks on Amazon, so hopefully it's worked pretty good. And then also I got the plastics all on. This thing was definitely flipped and rolled at some point. I noticed the bar was bent down a little bit. I bent that side back up. And then it took me like an hour and a half to get these plastics straightened back up. It still looks a little bit crooked, but trust me, it's actually a lot better than what it was. These were very hard to get lined up. I had to keep bending stuff on the frame, back and everything, and it was a nightmare. So I got the plastics all bolted back up. There was a bunch of missing bolts, replaced them with new ones, so they're all new. I also went through and took my torch and decided to give the racks a little bit of a spruce up. If you take a torch, if you don't know this, take like a normal handheld blowtorch and just swiftly go across, and it melts the top layer of plastic and makes it look, you know, new again. Brings the black back. I went through, fixed the headlights. They were really dirty, corroded, cleaned all those up, and then I rebolted all the missing bolts for the front piece. So this is all sturdy again. Everything's back where it should be. So I'm gonna go through and retorch these footwells with the torch, and then that should be all the plastics back to normal. And we'll throw the battery in, and then this should be all done. All right, let's take this horse for a ride. Front end feels nice and tight. Thing doesn't turn too sharp. Take it to the woods. Comfortable though. I will give it to Polaris. They have some of the softest riding four-wheelers and side-by-sides out there, especially the bigger Sportsmen. The seats on them are just, man, amazing. Need to get back in here and finish making this trail. Reverse is very slow. So this thing's probably struggling a little bit to get me going up, but not bad. Holy crap, there's a bunch of fallen trees. Top speed on this is set to about 30 miles an hour, but I don't think there's any way this thing goes 30. I kind of like this little quad. It's pretty fun. This thing will wheelie up a hill. Oh yeah, this thing wheelies good. Let's see where the idle goes down to. Yeah, that's good. Cool. Sounds a lot better. No more loud, crazy exhaust, so I'm sure that his mom will be happy about that. Thank you guys for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I'm sure that he's going to be really happy to have this thing back in running condition and a lot tighter than it was before. So I'm gonna get this thing loaded up. I'll bring it back to him this weekend, and then he should be all good to go. Thanks again, guys, for watching. I'll definitely have more videos coming out soon.